This is The Amazing Transformation of the White House Dog by Ron Gulag. The afternoon at the head of the alternate FBI called at his Uncle Josh's robotic lab residence in Georgetown, Norbert Dawes was in the first floor workroom checking up on the most recently completed robot canine, Phto number 7. The silver-plated robot wasn't in his cage, but sprawled on a candy-striped love seat, watching footage of today's protest marches in nearby Washington. A wave of about 2,000 protesters was moving closer to the White House, with signs reading, "Return our library cards." At the tail end of the protest group, another one was following, demanding, "Stop teaching Russian in our grammar schools." Norbert was a borderline tall man of 29, borderline good-looking. "How in the hell did you get out of your darn cage, Phto?" The silver-plated robot shifted his sprawl. "I watched a docudrama about safecracking on the telly, Norby," he said. "By the way, how's your quest for a job going? The Guild, Bascom and Vespucci ad agency, fired you from the creative department over 3 months ago. 2 months ago, when they relocated their offices to Tangiers, where copywriters are cheaper. A pity the current administration canceled unemployment insurance, or you could coast for a bit longer." Straddling a chair, Norbert asked, "Okay, how'd you turn on the TV?" "I'm his new improved model. Your dear uncle built in all sorts of extras," replied Phto number 7. "I've modified myself quite a bit on my own. I can now get all the movie channels. I can scan all the world's greatest 100 books that I should read before I kick off." "That's impressive, but I like to keep well-versed, Norb. I'm also watching the president's daily diatribes. What a maroon, as Bugs Bunny might say." He hopped off the love seat and settled on the floor. "Also taking classes in calculus, porn, and hypnotism. If I'm going to be pretending to be the president's White House dog, I've got to be well steeped in all sorts of stuff." Norbert jerked upright. "Where'd you get that goofy notion?" The robot dog rose up on his metallic legs, tilting his head upward toward the off-white ceiling. "From above, dear buddy. Right now, Uncle Josh is talking to some gink who's top man in the alternative Federal Bureau of Investigation. You can listen in, obviously. Does my uncle know that you—" "Sure, part of my duties is—" "Norbert, could you pop up here to the second parlor?" came his uncle's voice out of a wall speaker. "There's a fellow from Washington I'd like you to meet." Despite the fact that the second parlor was a high-ceilinged room with off-white walls and black-and-white furnishings, it felt cozy. That was due to the large, deep simulated fireplace Uncle Josh had invented and installed, never gotten around to patenting. On the black-and-white floating coffee table were a coffee urn, 2 cups, a gilded cage in which, on a swing, stood a bright yellow robot canary who could sing 100 light opera pieces. She was set on silent at the moment. Uncle Josh rose. "Norbert, this is J. Edgar Knopfsinger, the chief of the alternate Federal Bureau of Investigation." "Pleased to meet you, young man." The AFBI man was borderline short and plump, wearing a conservative gray suit. "Understand you've been lending him a hand since you got canned." "Well, actually, what happened? The President of the United States wants a robot dog for the White House," cut in the scientist. "Actually," explained Knopfsinger, "we have to replace the White House dog we acquired for him." "Why is that?" asked Norbert. "I just saw a special report on NBC about the president frolicking on the white lawn with Hound Dog, having members of the cabinet throwing a stick for him to fetch." "I was hoping to get to throw a stick, but I didn't make the cut," AFBI chief said. "Let me give you a little backstory." He paused to try his coffee. "The president, soon after taking office, started getting literally millions of letters and tweets from his admirers. They all said that he ought to have a dog in the White House. They said Nixon had a dog, FDR had a dog. It was a national tradition. Nixon had Checkers, FDR had Fala. We know who FDR was, but we'd never heard of Fala. Be that as it may, when over 8 million suggestions came, more than any president since Woodrow Wilson has ever received, we went and got a dog, a full-grown one, the best-looking canine ever to belong to any president. A huge part of those who communicated with the president thought the White House dog should be named Hound Dog, as a tribute to America's greatest singer, Elvis. In fact, Big Mama Thornton introduced the "No time for fake facts." Our problem is that the president turns out to be allergic to dogs, dander and so forth, he said. The entire staff of the Mayo Clinic has said he's the healthiest man ever to be president. Has this one tiny flaw. So we want a robot version of Hound Dog. We can't have the leader of the country going achoo. Mr. Knopfsinger also likes the idea that my robot animal can talk if need be. The AFB chief nodded. Give him somebody to keep him company and shoot the bull with him during the wee hours when he's treating. I'll have Phto number 7 turn up, looking exactly like the real Hound Dog 1 week from today, said Uncle Josh. $400,000 up front. A bit steep. We could take the amount from some useless public service giveaway, Knopfsinger told the scientist. Now, we'll pick you up with a new, improved Hound Dog next week, slip you into a rear entrance to the White House. You can come along if you wish, young man. Yeah, I just might. A cold drizzle was drifting down the next Wednesday afternoon. Norbert and Phto number 7 in his cage were sharing the rear entry of the panel truck. The robot dog was complaining. This fake fur your uncle stuck me with is itchy, he observed. You don't have skin. Metal can't itch. A lot you know, Buster. Ought to be getting hazard pay. In the front passenger seat, Uncle Josh suggested, Try to stop talking, Phto. We're approaching the White House. Phto said, Hey, Knopfsinger, do they have video in my kennel? No. The darn White House can't afford one more telly? Hush up, advised the doctor. Grumble, said the dog. I'll buy you some comic books, offered Norbert. I don't know if they're still publishing Rex the Wonder Dog, but we can hope. The AFBI director said, We just passed the First National Plunderers Bank. We're turning into one of the rear entrances. Make certain you don't make any snide remarks to the most important man on the face of the earth, Phto. I shall be a model of deportment, said the dog. Did I mention that I can also speak French, Portuguese, Tagalog, and Swahili? Norbert leaned toward the dog as the truck came to a stop. Don't heckle anybody while we're here, he said, especially the 2 Secret Service men who are coming toward us. No, indeed. You think I want to get shot in my inner workings? The first corridor they were passing through was dim lit. Leaning against the gray wall was a man wearing a white robe and peaked white hood. Knopfsinger slowed. Not a good idea to wear that here, Phil, he said in a quiet voice. Just trying on my Halloween costume. Halloween is several months off. Just want to make sure it fits. Phto said, What a maroon. It turned into a brighter hallway. The doors to the White House kennel were high and wide. An armed Marine stood at each side, holding a rifle. You'll find it quite roomy, Phto, the AFBI chief told him as they entered. Crossing the threshold, the robot dog observed, I can understand why the Pres would sneeze. This joint smells to high heaven. Dr. Dawes suggested, Behave yourself. Knopfsinger's phone made a polite noise. Yes, sir, he said. I'm showing them around the refurbished kennel as we speak. How's that again? He paused, eyebrows rising. And then what, sir? Yes, that would be a problem. He turned toward Norbert and his uncle. This is the president's chief advisor, Bull Dawson. He won't be back now until very late this evening. The president won't be able to get introduced to Phto until tomorrow. Phto gave a slightly metallic chuckle. Another screw-up, huh? After nodding the doctor into a chair, Knopfsinger explained, The president and his advertising staff flew down to Texas on Air Force One for the opening of the newest Cowburger restaurant. His ad staff is a group of top-flight men who've been unjustly let go from some of the nation's best outfits for alleged malfeasance and chicanery. I've heard of those events, said Norbert. They always bring a singing group along. Again, this time they've got another great bunch. Uncle Charlie and the Amateur Moonshiners, Phto said. The Amateur Moonshiners? I've heard of them. Can't carry a tune in a bucket. Can you tone him down a bit, Doctor? His jibes might anger the president and cause him to boot him in the backside. The phone sounded again. Now what? Yes. Yes. In the front window? Which high school marching band? Norbert inquired. Something else has happened? A usual high point of the opening is a butchering of a steer in the front window. Draw a nice enthusiastic crowd, explained the AFBI man. The problem was that this particular steer got ticked off and butted both the butchers. Go to one of the ad men and crashed through the front window, chased a high school band that was marching by to the outskirts of town, and then escaped into the plains. A confederacy of maroons, said Phto. As they emerged out of the top step of the back staircase, Knopfsinger said, I'll contact you, Doctor, to report the President's reaction to Phto. I'm sure they'll be favorable. I persuaded him to be his amiable best. The doors behind them came slamming open. Two dark-suited Secret Service agents rushed out, carrying a struggling, auburn-haired young woman by feet and shoulders. Hey, you lunks, she said. There's a thing about freedom of speech. The slightly taller Secret Service man said, Not if you heckle the press secretary at an impromptu press conference you weren't actually invited to. Norbert jumped toward them. Put her down. You're about to commit a federal crime, sir. These gentlemen are guests here. I'm giving them a lift back to Georgetown, the head said. I know Katie Barnum of the Baltimore Daily Gazette. I often read her column, Ask Diogenes. You can't violate the no heckling law and just walk away, said the other agent. I'm not walking, I'm being hauled. She glanced toward Norbert. You're Norbert Dawes, aren't you? The guy who got tossed out of Guild, Bascom, and Vespucci 3 months ago. 2. Otherwise, that's me. The head of the AFBI told the agents, I'll give Miss Farnham a lift home. They hesitated for a moment, and the young reporter suggested, Put me down, fellas. When she arrived on her feet, her cell phone fell to the steps. Scooping it up, Norbert said, I'll see that she gets home, Uncle Josh. If that's okay, Miss Farnham. She shrugged her left shoulder. A definite improvement over the other contestants. Call me if you have any trouble, Norb, said his uncle. Katie promised. I won't heckle him. The rain fell somewhat heavier by the time the cab had traveled 3 blocks. Sitting to the left of Norbert in the back seat, the young reporter asked, You live with your uncle? At the moment, yes. I'm helping him with his robot animal construction, he said. My wife ran off with a fellow who's known as the Butcher of Wall Street. What with alimony and job hunting. You sure you got the right butcher? John Ross Creech. No, that's not him. His name is Sean Claney II. You mean my wife ran off with an imposter? Could be it's a franchise operation and Clancy is now being butcher? Suppose so. Now I'm not even sure who made me a cuckold. She nodded sympathetically. By the way, I have 2 roommates. If you come in for a drink, watch out. Reporters? Folk singers, using a lot of material from Pete Seeger and Woody Guthrie. Also stuff they come up with on their own with a little help from me. What do they call themselves? Sisters of the Night. They dress all in black and wear black wigs. Play the local clubs? Mostly. During the election campaign, a local conservative group hired them, and it wasn't until the second Seeger number that the light dawned. She leaned toward the driver's window. Brownstone on the left, 5 houses ahead. The president and his entourage arrived back the next morning. He did not get around to meeting Phto until that afternoon. There was an urgent impromptu meeting on the White House lawn with a dozen young representatives of the Girl Scouts of America to explain why the government was taking a larger share of the profits from the sale of Girl Scout cookies from now on. He said, As the whole world knows, I'm a huge champion of the rights of women, especially the young and the pretty. Like, for instance, those 2 blondes on the left there, and that bashful brunette on the far right. He also hinted that it would be a huge honor for them, and every Girl Scout in the world, if they made him an honorary Girl Scout and issued a really fancy scroll with lots of gold lettering. The cheer the girls gave him when he concluded struck him later as somewhat tepid. He told his chief advisor, Bull Dawson, to remind him to have a small press conference with representatives of the major sympathy newspapers to listen to a few of his insights into the problem. He next had a meeting in the Oval Office with a man who ran his President Brand sweat socks factory in Singapore, was having a problem with disgruntled employees who wanted more than 1 lunch break per week. He finally dropped in on Phto and brought him a steak sandwich made from his own brand of steaks. Phto very politely informed that the robots don't eat. That's another new thing I learned today. That's another great thing about this greatest nation in the history of the world. You can learn a new, huge fact almost every single day. Truer words were never spoken, sir. The robot wagged his fuzzy tail. After having a sincere and very cordial chat with his new dog for nearly 4 minutes, the president took his leave. "I'll see you tonight. You can keep me company while I tweet," he said as he departed. "We'll have a photo session one day soon. Frolicking on the lawn, you chasing sticks." "Jolly, sir." When he was alone, the dog said inside his mechanical brain, "This is going to be easier than I thought." They had lunch the next afternoon at the modest-sized Cozy Veggie Cafe. The restaurant was on the second floor of a venerable red brick building, had an indoor grape arbor. Norbert had reached across the checkered tablecloth after they had ordered and took hold of Katie's hand. A plump plastic grape lost its hold on an arbor slat, plunked down next to the young reporter's cup of hibiscus tea. "You knew that Phto could make phone calls?" "Yep. Has he been calling you?" "Give me some items for my next column," she said. "Apparently he pretty much has free roaming rights at the White House. Most of the denizens thinks he's the true hound dog." "What sort is he supplying?" "Well, the Secretary of Physical Culture, that he named One Round Tessie, has disappeared completely for one thing." She let go of his hand to take her notebook out of her purse. 3 top presidential aides resigned on the same day and retired to a small village in Los Vergos, Mexico. Bull Dawson fell off a balcony and broke both legs. He's in extreme traction at the Bethesda Hospital. The president has signed up for a course in advanced dementia control at Dr. Bartolt Rainbow's walk-in therapy shacks in Baltimore. Also, wait now, Katie. Phto has told me that Bull Dawson has been expressing considerable dislike for him. He claims to be a terrific hypnotist. Suppose can you make somebody do something he doesn't want to do? I'll talk to my uncle about a robot dog. 2 days later, Norbert took Katie to dinner at the Proustian Bistro. They were sitting at a secluded table and holding hands when the waiter returned. Monsieur Phto has phoned to order you a bottle of Pinot Noir, sir. Shall I serve it now or with the meal?" "With the meal." "You are friends with this excellent gentleman, I take it?" Norbert replied, "Yes, I've known him for some time." "Is he a patron of the bistro?" "Alas, no. We have frequent conversations on the phone, and now and then he tweets." The waiter grinned. "An astute commentator on the political scene. Speaks perfect idiomatic French. He's a world traveler, is he not?" "Of late he's been sticking close to home," provided the young woman. "Some sort of hush-hush assignment." As the first course arrived, Norbert's phone buzzed. "Yes?" "Are you kids swilling your wine yet? Marcel told me it's pretty good. Sure costs enough." "Who exactly is paying for this?" "It's not kosher to ask a benefactor how much he's paying for a gift, Norb." Not how much, but who." "Oh, I have a way to tap into the accounting department. Your drinks are on the White House," explained the robot dog. "I've been making large donations to Planned Parenthood, the NAACP, the Humane Society, and a slew of others." "Well, don't get caught. My uncle would be. Did they ever catch Raffles or the Scarlet Pimpernel or Fingers Ferguson?" "Who's Fingers Ferguson?" "Well, actually, he did get caught. But he was the exception. Not to worry." Norbert sighed and ended the call. Early the next morning, Norbert woke up in a strange double bed in the Hale Columbia Hotel. The wide fifth-story window showed an especially pleasant clear blue day. Unseen birds were singing pleasantly out there somewhere in the sunny day. Sparkling white clouds were drifting gently by the window. He sat up and said, "Oh, yes, of course." As he swung out of bed, he heard someone typing on a laptop in the next room. He swiftly got into his shirt and trousers and stepped into the parlor. Katie, fully dressed, was sitting at the coffee table. "Looks like our relationship has reached a new level, wouldn't you say?" "Yeah, no doubt about it." Crossing, he leaned and kissed her. He frowned, turning to look at the room's big window. "Noise starting up out there." "Phto alerted it to me about a half hour ago," she answered. "One might say that the stuff has hit the fan. My Daily Gazette is giving me the whole top of the fold on the front page." It was on the arm of the sofa. "Makes me proud to know you, miss." Thus far, the president has fired all the remaining members of his cabinet, creating a wildlife commission, a wind energy commission, cut the military budget in half, raised the minimum wage to $18.95, had the federal government announced that controlling global warming was the top White House job. She paused to take a deep breath. He went to the window. Boy, that's the first time in years that I've seen newsboys in the streets yelling extra, extra. And the streets are filled up with people. The president also initiated free schooling for everybody, from nursery school to graduate school. He never underestimate the power of hypnotism. Kate's phone vibrated. Hello? Sure, he's right here. The robot dog said, the president just tweeted to the press that he's planning to enter a Buddhist monastery and will leave shortly. Then the vice president will take over. Nope. He's already left to join an organization to minister to American Indians. The rest of the cabinet is scrammed. Okay. We'll work out a way to come get you home, Phto. I won't be coming back for the time being, Norb. Why would that be? Well, somebody's got to run the country.